Good afternoon, my name is Darby.
Hey guys, welcome to Alliance RV. My name's April. I'm going to be giving you a tour through the lamination facility today. So let's check it out. All right, welcome to the lamination plant. A little bit about Alliance's story for those of you who don't know. Brian and Coley Brady are two co-founders. In 2019, this campus was all cornfields and they started Alliance. They didn't build anything for the first 6-7 months. They just collected feedback from full-timers, weekenders. They started collecting their sales team, which most of those guys had at least 10 or more years experience in the industry. And they came with a wealth of knowledge where those warranty issues were for other manufacturers. And that played a part in our build process. So 2020 was our first model year. They built their first 16 Paradigm in a building that was already on property. It's now our parts department. So we've grown quite a bit since then. About every 6 months to a year, a new factory has popped up. So we came out of the Valor toy hauler plant. The next one back would be Paradigm. The one after that used to be Avenue, but when we announced Delta, our new travel trailer last spring, we switched the Avenue plant over to Delta. The newest plant is double the size of any of our factories so far, so that if we eventually want to run 2 lines, we can. This particular plant is 130,000 square feet. Parts of it are temperature and humidity controlled to make sure that bonding process happens the way it needs to. We're going to show you exactly how things work here. We're going to start our tour in the cutting department. We're pretty unique in the industry in that we're one of the only manufacturers to use the dyne test on all bundles of aluminum before we use them. The dyne test allows us to make sure that we have the best level of surface energy, which then allows us to have the highest level of adhesion in the lamination process. Each saw cuts directly from the engineering drawing, so there's less room for error. All radius profiles are done in-house on our CNC bender. There are a few other things we do in the cutting department to make sure we protect your investment. One of those things is we use an 1/8 of an inch heavy wall aluminum in strategic high-stress areas to help with that structural integrity. Multi-directional triple hollow aluminum is used in the gooseneck area for added structural support. This department also stuffs pine filler wood in strategic locations based on the engineering blueprint. However, the 1/8 of an inch thick heavy wall is not stuffed with wood. This department also stuffs pine filler wood in strategic locations based on the engineering blueprints. Wherever there's going to be screws, we add that wood in there for extra grip and bite. Think of a pop can, you can rip out a screw pretty easily. So we put that wood in there to help those screws stay in place. The 1/8 of an inch thick heavy wall is not stuffed with wood because it's not necessary since no screws are placed in that area. Our next stop is our welding department. Each part is built specifically to an engineering blueprint and welded in a specific fixture for that part. The door side and the off-door side walls are welded on separate tables to properly square each wall. Each wall is pushed against the back and bottom steel plates welded to the table. A lot of manufacturers weld both sides on the same table. All openings are checked for squareness. Once the openings are square, the fixture is secured to the table. We mentioned the 1/8 of an inch thick heavy wall earlier. Engineering decides where that heavy wall is used. All gussets are heavy wall. All parts are pulse welded. This allows the material to be fused together without reducing the integrity. All parts are clearly labeled with model and unit numbers. This ensures changes are captured on correct units and help reduce the risk of error. Okay, next is our foam department. As I mentioned before, all of our parts are built specifically to the engineering blueprint every time. So our door side and our off-door side walls are going to be stuffed on separate tables once again to make sure that they're properly squared. Slide openings are also squared before the side wall is foamed, and all laminated parts are stuffed with EPS styrofoam. That foam is going to be slightly thicker than the aluminum tube so that we can get optimal compression with limited tube telegraphing. We have 4 laser projectors as of mid-January, 2 per sidewall table. This is part of our continuous improvement initiatives to help drive the perfect part. Radius blocks are installed at the corners of the windows, entry door, and cargo doors. This allows for better fitment of windows and doors when they are installed on the assembly line. And all walls are wiped down with Aladyne, a water-soluble chemical that preps the surface of the aluminum. This ensures we achieve the optimal level of adhesion. Next is our lamination area. This particular part of the building is 100% climate controlled. Our centrally located thermostat and humidistat are constantly monitoring this room to make sure the ambient temperature and the humidity is exactly where it needs to be for that bonding process to happen the way it needs to. Not every manufacturer controls the environment, but here at Alliance we do, to make sure you get that quality product. There are two 20-ton AC units that we used from the very beginning, along with two thermocycler furnaces that are just for this department. That in combination with a mister system mounted to the ceiling. Once again, all parts are going to be built exactly to engineering blueprint. Process audit is performed twice daily per line and checks a variety of areas. It will check the gram weights of the glue, temperature of the glue, temperature of the substrates, temperature of the parts, thickness of the substrates, pinch roller gap pressure, and the dyne level of the fiberglass. The fiberglass is rolled out onto a giant air hockey table. Using that table helps reduce the risk of scratching that fiberglass, which gives you an even better quality product. The fiberglass is then blown off to ensure that it's free of any debris before laminating. Composite paneling is sent through the roll coater to apply glue 18 grams per square foot. This allows it to be uniform for a better bond. Then the composite panel is applied to the fiberglass. Remember that triple hollow tube in the gooseneck that we mentioned in cutting? This is going to be etched with 80 grit sandpaper to ensure optimal adhesion. Once again, any loose debris is going to be blown off the sidewall before laminating. The sidewall is pushed against jigs and a 5/8 inch pneumatic stop to ensure wall is square with the correct glass line. All parts are once again measured for squareness. The decor panel is applied to the wall and then it's pushed through the pinch roller. Our Union Tool pinch roller applies 4,500 pounds of contact pressure. All laminated parts are then placed on a cure table for 24 hours, as opposed to a lot of manufacturers that will do less than a day. But allowing it to cure for less than 24 hours could lead to that dreaded D word, delamination. All right, our last stop is our routing department. All overhangs are finalized in this department, and each opening is going to be routed. Our slide outs, as mentioned in our factory tour, if you haven't watched that yet, will be partially routed and then routed out the rest of the way once it gets over to the factory. That way, the slide out can stay with its original wall and be matched back up when it comes back into play over there. So just like in our other areas of lamination, all parts are built exactly to the engineering blueprint. All parts are checked to make sure that they're squared once again before shipping to the assembly line. We apply seam tape after the wall is routed. We wipe all seams down with isopropyl alcohol to promote better adhesion. All slides are labeled with the same unit number that's on the back of the sidewall. This is going to ensure that the same plug wall is put back into the original wall it was removed from, which causes a better fitment and sealing. All parts are then loaded and clearly labeled to ship to the assembly plant. Thanks for joining us for this tour of our lamination plant. If you'd like to schedule a tour of one of our plants in person, just go to alliancerv.com/tour and schedule yours today. Thanks for joining us.